If you wanted to teach a class of high schoolers about dramatic irony, you just need to show them clips from Titanic. God himself could not sink this ship. I have built you a good ship, strong and true. We're the luckiest sons of bitches in the world, you know that? I mean, they called it the unsinkable. After losing in the semifinal round of the first IPDA debate tournament of 2020, I was pretty sure that with a little elbow grease, I would make finals during my second attempt. I wasn't only a little wrong. I was colossally mistaken. One might call my experience a series of Titanic mistakes. Welcome to the Then Talk Public Speaking Podcast. This is episode 10, the International Public Debate Association, Part 2. Last week, we introduced the IPDA, a debate league for college students and professionals that focuses on persuading everyday folks, not experts. A couple months ago, I set an all-time record with the IPDA. I won the season-long professional national championship with more debate sweepstakes points than anyone in 27 years. But the forecast was not always so sunny. I only got there because I made it through some real cloudy weather and turned losses into lessons. I promised you I would talk about my worst IPDA tournament ever. One moment. I gotta swallow my pride. Okay, it's down. There were 6 preliminary rounds in this tournament, and I lost 5 of them. Let's walk through the losses so you can know what my communication mistakes were and how you can avoid them. I lost the first round to a lawyer. We were debating about international relations. I had a decent understanding of the India-Pakistan conflict because of my time as a high school debate coach, but I would not say I'm an expert. In fact, I don't think most Americans are. There is no evidence to suggest that your average American judge knows a whole lot about conflict in Kashmir. And that was my mistake. I tried to flex what little knowledge I had in that round, attempting to trip my opponent up with little gotchas and pieces of trivia. But even though my opponent didn't quite know what I was saying, I barely knew what I was saying, and our judge admitted that she had no idea what I was saying. That's the first lesson. Meet your judges where they are. Don't talk over their heads. I lost my second round to a grad school student. I had to defend this law of holes. If you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. The idea is probably true. But I went out of my way to take a topic that gave me a clear advantage and define it in a really loosey-goosey, unclear way. I legitimately cannot remember how I tried to frame the argument, but my opponent took advantage of my ambiguity and forcefully told the judge I was misdefining the round, which I probably was. I argued myself into a corner. I lost round 4 to a debate coach. I argued that Microsoft will win the console wars. And this gave my opponent ground to argue that any other company, Nintendo, Sony, whatever, could win instead. Or he could argue there's not going to be a clear winner. So my choice of topic was a huge mistake. Certain resolutions are too hard for the affirmative to defend, like one specific team will win the Super Bowl, or one specific movie will win Best Picture, because it lets the other side say literally anything else is just as likely to happen. IPDA is often won during the topic selection phase, and I lost as soon as I chose that topic. He had just too many paths to victory. At this point, I was ironically feeling great about the tournament. I thought I was speaking well, I was finding strong evidence, but the IPDA doesn't let its judges reveal their decisions after each round, so I couldn't have known the truth. I was sinking like the Titanic. I mentioned losing to a preacher last time. Well, I was facing him again, and I was determined not to lose. I affirmed the topic, Free Brittany. Not Brittany, like Britney Spears, Brittany, like the homeland of the Breton people in France, an ethnic minority with a nationalist movement that wants independence. When I first read the topic, I thought, this is about the pop star. So did my opponent. Partway into my preparation time, I realized the spelling might have been an intentional reference, not a typo. This was probably a mistake. It was probably just a typo, because my judge and opponent both assumed it was about the singer. I had a compelling case about the moral arguments for the Breton people to find independence, but no one else in the room was primed to know what I was talking about, and my judge was disappointed that we weren't discussing Britney Spears. So my takeaway was I shouldn't have overcomplicated that round either. Finally, round 6. I argued that certain economic systems were not the best way to guide the economy. I presented a slew of alternatives like modern monetary theory. I suggested my opponent was not specific enough in his advocacy, but I spread myself too thin by listing far too many alternatives without developing them. Instead of being an inch wide and a mile deep, I went in the other direction. My opponent called me out on being even less specific than he was, and he was right. That was the worst debate tournament of my competitive career. Only a 16% win rate. I still picked up a top speaker award because I sounded good, but it was clear to me that this format relied on more than just pretty rhetoric or smooth speaking. I needed to think more about substance and strategy. Because it's not just about how the Titanic looked. It had to be designed to dodge or barrel through that iceberg. I didn't like losing. And I didn't feel like a quitter. So I wanted to throw my hat back into the ring, but my work and my education got in the way. I was no longer free on Friday evenings, which meant I could not virtually participate. My next opportunity came 3 years later, fall of 2023, in person, in a little place in the deep south of Texas called Baytown. We're going to visit there next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Authentalk Public Speaking Podcast. Please share the pod, leave a review, let me know what you want to hear. Until next time, like always, I'm Ian Lampert, your public speaking professional.